Welcome to the commute.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Andrew.
It's Friday
It is Friday.
and I'm tired.
So, do you think that that whole bridge collapse is a conspiracy, or do you think it was actually an accident?
I think it was an accident. Gosh, why does everything have to be a conspiracy?
Oh
Y'all
man.
see what I deal with. Ugh.
What about the Kate Middleton stuff?
I don't even know who or what that is.
You don't hear about that?
No, I don't pay attention to any stupid news.
They all were thinking that the prince was cheating on her and all that stuff, and she ended up having cancer.
Oh no.
Yeah,
She's young, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that the princess or whatever?
yeah, that she's gonna be future queen. Everyone's coming up with all these conspiracy theories, so she has to come out and say she's going through chemotherapy and she had surgery.
That's so sad.
People are the worst.
People are the worst.
Anyways, home buying.
Yeah, home buying. So we decided it's a good time to talk about why you should take the leap in the home buying process and do it now, ignoring the news.
Yes.
Actually, just ignore the news on everything, but especially on this. So what are like the main reasons right now is a great time to go ahead and buy?
Well, probably against conventional wisdom, because the interest rate is higher, it means it is a good time to buy. And we're in a buyer's market. We're seeing people give closing costs. They are getting things under asking price. And so right now in our market, it is a good time to buy. And then because you can always refi.
Yeah.
And just when we were at a job fair for a high school yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Woodland.
Yeah. And so we basically told all those kids, listen, buy a house as soon as you can.
Yep.
Because you kind of have to the earlier you get started on that path, the better off you'll be in 10, 15 years. So it's always a good time to buy.
Yeah, for sure. So with the interest rates, I don't know. I mean, obviously it impacts the amount you'll be approved for. So the sales price of the home that you'll be able to get.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does not dictate if you should or should not buy.
Right.
Interest rates fluctuate all the time, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go down, you can refinance. But when you're renting, you're paying 100% interest rate, right? Like you are making the landlord rich. You are giving them money. So I've never understood why people get so wrapped up in the interest rates. Your mortgage payment would be more on a bigger house, but if you say I can only spend $3,000 a month, taxes, insurance, and my mortgage payment, great. Well then, hey, Mr. Lender Dude, what is their sales price? What do we need to be looking for to keep them in that?
Right.
Interest rate doesn't matter.
Right.
So that's crazy to me, number one. Okay, so yes, start buying no matter what the interest rates are. What's another good reason to buy now? And you said it's a buyer's market, so we're getting closing costs from sellers, all that fun stuff. But why else?
Well, in Georgia, if you're a first-time home buyer, we really do have a lot of good programs for buyers.
Yeah.
We have like stuff where you can get things for $0 down payment, and like FHA loan, Georgia Dream, no down payment, and you just have to figure out closing costs. And so if you can get it where you can get a house that the seller is going to give closing costs, you can buy a house, probably like a $250,000 to $300,000 house with $5,000 to $7,000 out of pocket.
We're doing one right now. Our client is buying a house. The house is $340,000. The seller was only willing to contribute $3,000. Turns out he was paying a lot more in commission, so we gave up some 1% of the commission. So now the buyer is getting $6,000 in seller's contribution to closing, and their down payment is FHA, so they're having to put down $10,000. So it's 3.5%, and out of pocket on top of that, they only have to bring another $4,000.
Yeah.
So they're getting into a house with roughly 14 by the pay inspections, appraisals, $15,000.
Yeah.
They're going to own a home that will increase in equity. They will continue to see value, not to mention the tax write-offs that you get when you own a home, that you can itemize. That interest is tax deductible. So it's so much better than paying your rent, like to a landlord. So I don't know. For me, I still don't understand why people think it's a bad time to buy.
Yeah, I don't. And some people, they think it's I got way more of a commitment to buy my home. Like if you don't pay your rent, you're going to get kicked out too. So it's not like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you don't pay your house, you don't pay your rent, you're getting kicked out either way. So I don't really
Right.
understand that logic. But some people are like, well, I don't want to be tied down. Well, then turn it, if you have the money, turn it into a rental. If you want to move somewhere else,
Right.
passive income,
Right.
and you can buy another house or rent at the new
Yeah.
place and still own a house that you're making income on.
Yeah. I
And so
think
it's
that's,
just-
I think, we think about things a lot more like on a business stance. And I think just the majority of our consumers, it's always emotional.
Mhm.
Like selling and buying is
Yep.
just such an emotional decision. And if you can get to a point where you just take that emotion out of it, buying and selling is so much easier.
Yeah.
If you just look at facts, what's an emotional reason other than being tied down? What's an emotional reason to not buy a home? What do you hear from people?
It's usually like if they're in the city and they're like, well, I don't want to have to drive to go see my friends or see my family, right? They want to rent because they're close to everything. It's like,
Because they can't afford to buy.
buy in the city, right? And so like that's like lifestyle, emotion, like that's what they like. My advice to all of them is, well, like you can buy a townhouse or a condo in the city too, right?
Right.
Like it's not, you don't have to buy a single family home that's $800,000 in Atlanta.
Right.
You can buy a townhome still for $350,000 or a condo for a 2-and-2 condo.
Right.
So like there are so many other options where buying is still the better option than paying $2,000 a month for rent or $2,500.
Okay, so what would be a reason for a buyer to not buy?
If they'll be house poor, right? Like if there genuinely will be, hey, I'm gonna get into this. Like it all depends on situation too, right? Like if they might be in a spot where they're renting, but they love their landlord. Their landlord's older guy who's not charging them, and they're paying like $1,000 a month. Then
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
We have
in that
one of those
situation,
too. Actually, we have someone that's living at home, but they still have to pay rent, and they're only paying $600 a month.
right? And so you're not gonna find anything that they'll be able to get FHA for less than $1,800 a month, probably.
Yeah, I think we finally found something. It's gonna put her mortgage around $1,450, something
Okay.
like that. But still, it is one of those things where, okay, now if something breaks, you have to fix it,
Mhm.
right? So there is some of that. I do think the downside with most people, if they're in a very low rent situation where they've been blessed with an amazing deal of $600, $700 a month, the hard thing there is to then save the difference.
Yeah.
So what I sat down with this client and told her, I said, why don't you stay where you're at for right now? Because it makes sense. But if you know the mortgage payment is going to be closer to $2,000, go ahead and start putting $1,400 a month in a savings account.
Yeah.
Just do it. Do it for 6 months, see how it feels, and then you'll know a little bit better if it's something that you should or should not do.
Right.
But also, now you have the funds to hopefully decrease the amount that you're going to have to pay on the mortgage payment, because you can put more down, which will make the payment less.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good plan. The problem is most people are not disciplined enough to do that.
Right.
So I would say home ownership, you do have to be disciplined.
Yeah, you have to actually like believe in the dream, like the American dream,
Right.
kind of owning your own home and it being yours, and then that equity. Like, I guess what you're saying too, that's probably the biggest thing, is you really should look at home ownership as a business, not as an emotional decision to raise your family. You raise
Right.
your family anywhere.
Right.
Like you should look at it as I'm gonna make this investment because it's one of the only appreciating assets you're gonna buy in your life.
Right.
So it needs to be more of a decision on, hey, yes, extra 10 minutes to drive, but in 3 years this thing's gonna grow by $50,000 to $100,000.
Right.
That's worth it. That extra 10 minutes. So I think on the education level to buyers, and then getting them to see that side of it, which is still tough because
So,
convenience usually
yeah.
wins, honestly.
Yeah. Convenience.
Emotions.
Emotion. Oh, we did hear a call the other day. This guy was like, I'm just waiting for the market to crash. I have other friends in real estate. I have friends in real estate, and they say it's going to crash, that you shouldn't buy anything. My first response was, he's got really dumb real estate agent friends,
Yeah, for
and they
sure.
should get out of the business, number one.
Mhm.
And then number two, just ask questions. Like, my question to that is, okay, like, what do you mean a crash?
Yeah.
What does that mean? That values are going to go down? Okay. Right now it's a buyer's market. It
Right.
shifts every 3 to 6 months. There's a slight shift. Every 3 to 5 years, there's a pretty dramatic shift.
Yeah.
Crash, we're not going to go below what we had.
No.
So, like, what is a crash to you? Oh, so his response to it, well, a crash means houses, we're going to be able to get houses really, really cheap again. Okay, what is really, really cheap again? 100,000, 200,000. Okay, what is the price of that same house right now? Oh, it's probably like 400 or 500. Okay, sir, no, sir. The property values are not going to be cut in half.
Right.
We might see 2-3%
Right.
reduction, but what's going to happen when there's a 2 to 3% reduction?
Well, interest rates are going to come down too, though.
Right.
And
So what's going to happen?
Then it'll go up probably 5 to 6%.
Right. But
So-
when it's down, what's going to happen? There's going to be 1,002,000 buyers.
Yeah. Which would make interest rates come down and prices
But
go
you're
up.
going to have more buyers.
Yeah.
So now the competition is going to be much more stiff that you're going to be up against. Why not buy the house now if the market crashes, which it's not, but if it comes down a little bit and then the interest rates come down, refi.
Yeah.
Now you have equity in your home plus the lower interest rate that
Yeah.
you're so-called waiting for.
Right.
So I still don't get the crash. I just don't get it.
It's very common though with like, I don't know. I feel like specific generations, they're just so used to. It's weird because like they want $800,000 for their house, but then when it's time to buy, oh, I'm just gonna wait until it crashes. Like, but then you're gonna sell your house for $250,000. It's a
Right.
lateral move either way.
Right. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like, I can never make it make sense when someone tells me that they're waiting for the market to crash.
Yeah.
He's just going to get right up on that
Yeah,
truck.
man, he is about to hit that truck.
I think he wants you to move, sir. But anyway, so I know I wish you could like see our drive instead of having to see us.
Yeah, like a separate, like a dash cam.
Oh, we should do that one time. We should turn it and have you guys watch. You know what? I should do it right now so you can see how close we get to all these cars while Andrew is driving. Because, like, right now we're behind a tow truck with a Jeep on top, and I can't even see the tires of the tow truck anymore because we're so close. But what I can see is underneath the Jeep.
Yeah, and so you can see what's wrong with it,
And I can
Maybe
see, like,
help the tow truck see why.
When that little belt that's holding it right there only on one side snaps, how that's going to come down and kill us.
They got it in park. That ain't gonna move. I got
Anyways.
faith in this tow truck driver.
That's foolish. So I have faith in no drivers. Anyways, okay. So we talked about why buyers should take the leap and buy. We talked about the interest rates and how that really shouldn't impact your purchase. It just impacts your purchase power.
Right.
We talked about foolish things that people say about the crash. That's not going to happen. Remembering that a little reduction in values does not equate to a crash. Lower interest rates, higher interest rates, none of that means a crash.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that buyers are dealing with right now? Right now, probably it is just getting approved and finding a home.
Yeah, getting approved, finding a home, finding something that I think people have unrealistic expectations though too on what they can afford.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I think especially for a first-time home buyer, they just have like this dream of, well, this is the house I want to live in, and they're making $50,000 a year, and they want a $400,000 house, and it's just like unless they have a ton of money to put down on the house, and even then,
You're not getting.
you're not getting that. Like, so I think it's hard to get people to buy into the process of buy this house, then
Sell it.
2 to 3 years, sell it, buy this house,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a process. I mean,
We have to do that as investors.
Yeah, for
investors,
sure.
we do it all the time. Like, that's just a normal process.
it's just but I think if you looked at it as this is my business of buying homes, like for my life, right? It's easier to see that progression because that's kind of what you have to do when you're owning a business is, okay, we're here, we want to get to here. All right, what are the steps we have to do to get to here, right? We can't just jump to here.
Right.
So I think that is part of it too. Because like, even with, it's a bad example, but I have a client, she was like wants like a $1.2 to $1.5 million house. And so we settled from like 7 to 8. And I said, listen, it's just not wise for you to start here. It's
Right.
wiser to buy this one, let it grow in equity, and then in 2 to 3 years, then then upgrade, right? It makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, I honestly, like, to prove that I'm not like all about money, I wanted to start in like the 4s. Like, just makes more sense to me. Like, don't start here. Start here where you're comfortable and you can do it. But she has bougie taste and she wants it. I'm like, okay, you want it? I want you to have it. It's not my money. So that was a little stressful.
I think you were at our client event when one of my clients, she's a younger girl, she was sitting across the table and she was talking to my other client saying, yeah, Shannon was just like, look, this first house, you just need to take it. It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You just need to take it and fix it up, live in it, and then you know what? You're going to sell it in 2 to 3 years. And she said, but I had the hardest time with that because I've lived in 2 houses my entire life.
Yeah.
And the one that we're in right now, my dad built.
Yeah.
Right. And so for her, a home really is like, that's what makes the family.
Yeah.
Especially since her dad passed and just all of that. Like for her, it is a very emotional. So when you can learn what is making something emotional for a client and what they're going through and how they're thinking, it's so much easier to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because now she's just like, yeah, that was dumb. Why was I ever thinking like that?
Yeah.
You know, she's trying to jump into the home that she wants to raise her kids in at 23,
right.
24. You know, I'm like, no, you don't want to do that.
Right.
That's
how you become house poor, right?
Right.
You might barely be able to afford it, but it's still not a
Right.
good decision.
Right. So, you know, now she's looking at stuff and she's like, Shannon, this house is super ugly. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Right. So now her like whole mindset is just like, let me find that diamond in the rough and I'm going to clean it up and I'm going to live there for 2 years and I'm going to make money.
Yeah. That's right.
So it's really cool to see that shift in someone. So, and yeah, her budget's not 800 or $1 million. Her poor budget's like 140.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to find her a house for 140. And
Yeah.
it might not be the best area for her. Like, it'll still be safe, but it's not going to be like close
Exactly
to
what she
everyone.
wants, yeah.
Right. So, but it's going to be a starting point for her and she's going to love it. So, you know, I love seeing first time buyers happy. Like, it's fun. And I told her, stuff's going to break all the time.
Yep.
Going to break. You're going to have a leaky faucet. Like, stuff's just going to happen. She's like, okay, I know. I was like, so you got to put money aside. Like, you got to have money every month. I want you to put away $200. That's your emergency fund for the house.
Right.
So there's just, sometimes you really need that. As agents, that's what we should be doing,
Yeah.
right? We should be helping educate the consumer far beyond, here's how much this house is worth. Here's how much this house is on the market for. Let me show you this house.
Yep.
It's far more than that. So
Yeah. Agreed.
it's the part that I actually like. Like, I actually didn't mind teaching at Woodland the other day.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's actually impressive to see how many of those kids like were interested
Yeah.
in what we had to say versus like just kind of wanted to blow it off.
Yeah. It was really, it was encouraging. I went into like thinking, yeah, the youth, I hate them. They're scary. They're just mean. They're, you know, they're not going to, I mean, I know how I was as a senior, so I'm just speaking for myself and how I was, but these kids were good. Like, we already had one call us about an internship, and so it was really good. It was good to see. And it was good to see that they listened, especially on the investing part.
Yeah.
Like, their ears like perked up. You could tell. They were like, wait a second, what? I can buy a house at 18?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that so many young people are not taught about buying a home and building wealth through real estate
Which
is crazy to me.
And it's the easiest way to do it.
Easiest.
Or the best way. Like, it's the most
Correct.
secure way to do it, I would say.
True.
You know, like,
Yeah. So, very exciting. Well, I think that was a good recap of everything going on with buyers and all that fun
yeah,
stuff.
I think so.
And
You should always make the leap into home ownership if you can.
gosh, you're talking low again.
You should always make the leap into home ownership if you can.
Let me see how many times I can't hear you when I listen to this. Probably a lot.
I need to put the mic on mine right here. Just so it's
I can just
scratching
hold
against
it straight to your face
Yeah.
like that.
me. Oh, you want to talk now?
All right. Well, we're supposed to say something.
Oh yeah, like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube and Instagram, at the Commute Pod.
I know none of it.
Yep. Or at our personals. I think I'm just Andrew Videla, which is pretty simple.
I don't know any of it.
V as in Victor, Adala.
How do you say it? Videla? Padella.
Or Vadala if you're Italian.
Padella.
That's right.
Why? What do I always say?
Vidala.
Padella.
So
Padella.
annoying. Shannon's known me for 12 years.
Padella.
13 going on. Still can't say my last name.
Padella.
There you go. That's it. There you go. Nailed it.
All right.
All right.
Commute
That's the
is
commute.
out.